Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today we have Katie joining us. Hi, Katie.
Hey.
Guys, so Katie's a coach here at Create Your Future, and she has a success story from a client of how they actually turned around and recreated people in a toxic relationship. Like, this is absolutely amazing. And we actually, at the end of this video, near the end, the last thing that we're going to have is a list of intentions for you that we're going to read out that you can use to take your power back and to help you be back in the driver's seat of taking control. And one thing that we really are going to touch on in this video, which I think is amazing, is sometimes having that feeling of guilt of, everyone is you pushed out. And I think that's always a big thing to sort of get over, because it is actually a really huge block. So yeah, we're going to dive into that and more. Exciting. So let's hear the story.
Cool. So this story was with a client that took place a while back, and it was a really long, ongoing process, but absolutely life-changing. And like you said, it touches on everyone as you pushed out. It touches on toxic relationships and how we create them. And the process of just turning that around and like ultimately taking all your power back, because everyone really is you pushed out. And that can feel weird, but we're gonna go over why it's not and how it's awesome. So with this client, she actually manifested a relationship that had a lot of conflict and betrayal, in a sense, where her SP actually ended up hooking up with her best friend. So she kind of lost, two people she loved and adored. And when her and I started working together, her biggest conflict was, she really believed that these people were against her, but she felt conflicted because she still wanted her SP and she still wanted her best friend. Basically, what we had to do was acknowledge that she created all of this, that this belief that there was a force outside of her that wanted to hurt her, right? Through him, through her, was just her own creation. And I think that was really hard to swallow at first, that with all that, betrayal and hurt and the emotions that come up, it's so important to accept your reality, to be at peace with it, knowing that you created it, but also knowing that you changed it. You can change it through your thoughts. Your thoughts created it from wherever they did, and you can change it. So we had to recreate that. These two people are beings that like love her. They're loyal to her. They uplift her. They really want to be with her and only her. And it was just like their way of helping her know that she's God of her reality. Like they're actually like messengers to help her awaken, right? To the idea that like she created us, she can forgive, she can let it go, and she can have everything she wants. She doesn't have to get rid of toxic people. She just has to recreate them. They're just out. So that was like the first thing of like taking her power back, taking, all this responsibility for the thoughts that created it and changing them to the opposition, which we'll do when we do the intentions. But like it was so much affirming and so much creating, it made her totally, because not only did her SP come back to her and her best friend come back to her, now they have this like harmonious, loving relationship that is just so forgiving and open, and they can all laugh about it now because they've all picked up each other, and now they all just together, and it's okay.
That is so awesome. And I love what you just touched on there, is that you don't have to get rid of toxic people. You can recreate them. But I also want to go the other way too. It's okay to get rid of toxic people and not recreate them. Sometimes I think, and I know it felt like this for me before, is that I felt guilty because I did create somebody to be like absolutely terrible. And I was like, oh, I need to recreate them. But I just kept banging my head against the wall. And then I realized, wait a minute, this is my reality. I can recreate whoever I want. So will I spend the extra time recreating Andrew and putting time into that? Absolutely. Somebody else maybe that I just met, am I going to spend as much time? Yeah, maybe not. It just depends on what they mean to you and what you want to see from it. So remember, guys, there's no right or wrong, good or bad, but you can actually recreate toxic people. You don't have to throw them away, but if you do, it's up to you, because it's your reality.
So much freedom.
Exactly.
She had the desire, and I think she felt guilty about having that desire, because she had the belief of like, I have to get rid of toxic people, which I find like with your own reality, you can trust your desires. Like whatever it is, it's a promise. It's already for you, and like you can't compare it to anybody else's.
Right. So I just want to touch on what we talked about earlier about the guilt about recreating people. Let's dive a little bit into that, because I know a lot of people have had that question and that feeling has come up. So, yeah.
So with her, and I know I felt this too, I think when there's or when we first come to understand that everyone is us pushed out, and we actually are creating them by our thoughts, right? They're just responding to what we're thinking. They're responding to how we expect them to like respond. There can be this idea that, well, now that we know that we can manipulate them, we can control them. And if you've ever had the belief or the experience where you felt someone was manipulating you or controlling you, it's a really scary feeling. I find it's always scary because it's just not true. It's not in alignment with who you really are, but ultimately it feels terrible. So if that's the only type of, I guess, control that you've experienced in your life, it can be terrifying to think like, oh my God, I have this control. And so, since I've only seen the abuse of power, I don't actually know how to use this power for good, in a sense. So something with this client in particular is we really went into, okay, what's your desired reality? You want him to be loyal to you. You want him to like defend your honor, right? If another girl comes up, he just talks about you and how he wants to be with you. And with your friend, you want her to be loyal to you. Same thing. You want her to uplift you and be someone you can trust. And ultimately, you're creating them to be better people, to be people that are more loving and loyal. And if you've ever really been in a situation where you've had to reject someone, or you've maybe even cheated on someone, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to treat other people poorly. And so something she had to look at was, you're creating these people to treat you poorly, but that doesn't feel good for them either. So by you exercising this free will that only you have for them to treat you really well, you're doing everyone a favor. There's no guilt in that, because you're calling them to be loving people, harmonious people. You're calling the whole world to be more open and forgiving and less toxic people. It's an awesome thing. And there's no guilt in that. There doesn't have to be, because you're doing it anyway. Might as well own it.
You know what? Exactly. You're doing it anyway. Own it. And yeah, who better to have the power than you, because you want to do good for the world. And you're totally right. Like, you've nailed it. Like, that is the best explanation that I've heard of it ever. Guys, anybody out there that's feeling guilty about everyone as you pushed out and having all that control, think to yourself, who better to have it than you, because you're going to do good with the world. It's just like, having a pile of money and you're a good person and you're going to use that money to help other people. Who better to have it than you, than somebody who's not going to do for good stuff for it, right? Like, so love that explanation. Like, that's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And just to touch on how we recreate people is we start shifting how we look at them. So if we're looking at them as toxic people that don't want to be with us and that want to do harm to us, we got to start changing that story to, there's somebody that actually wants to be with us. You know what? They don't need to do this. We got to start changing our mental story about them, because when we do, they actually start to show up that way. So a mental diet and changing the concept of who they are is incredibly important, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that is so amazing. So guys, so that's what we want to do here is, we want to change the way we're looking at everyone as you pushed out, because guess what? They don't have any free will. They never did. Even if you give them free will, they're still acting the way that you assume them, because you can't give them something that you've never had in your reality. And besides that, don't feel guilty. Take the power back and say, I'm creating them to be good people and to do good. And they feel good and they want to be nice and good people, just like Katie explained. And then now we'll dive right into those intentions. You guys have all been waiting for.
These are intentions that I've used myself, this client used, other clients have used them. Take the ones that resonate. They're so powerful, and I don't think you can do them enough, honestly, especially if they feel good. So let's just go into them. Okay. I intend to know that I'm the only thinker in my reality, and he thinks what I think he thinks, or she thinks what I think she thinks. They only think things. They only think lovely things. I intend to know I'm the only cause. Everything is for me and because of me. I intend to love that I'm the only authority, that I'm creating a world of love and unity. I intend to know that everyone is loyal to me and uplifts me. I intend to trust and live into my desires, because they work out for everyone involved. I intend to happily claim my full dominion, because it's all been mine all along. I intend that everyone is here for me and loves me and supports me and says yes to me. I intend that this is my world and it's for me. I intend to know that I'm the only authority, because there is only me creating. I intend to know that I'm the only cause. Everything is for me and everything is because of me. Everyone's will is my will. What I want wants me. I intend to easily accept that there are no others. They're all just different versions of me, every me. They all come from me and are created inside me. And they're all lovely, and they're all responding to me. I intend he wants to be with me and show so much love for me because there is only unity and harmony in my reality, right? Or that could be she. I intend he always or she always feels so good loving me because he or she is a being of love that wants to love me and be with me. I intend to know that I'm the only thinker in my reality. I intend that what I'm thinking, he's thinking right now, or what I'm thinking, she's thinking right now. I intend to see how this world conforms to me. I'm willing to trust and experience the power of my thoughts, which respond positively and fill all my needs and desires instantly within and then without. I intend to know my thoughts created all this so they can create anything. I am invincible. I am willing to know if I desire it, it's already done. So now I can assume I have it.
My goodness, those are so good. Okay, and this is like such an everyone as you pushed out story. So I'm creating some things in my life currently. I've talked about it in previous video about buying my first place and stuff, right? And so I heard from the bank this morning, and they're working on, you know, the financing or whatever. And I was like, I said to myself, I'm like, okay, Maddie, you need to be on your mental diet. In fact, you need some self-love affirmations to remind yourself how powerful you are. And I was totally, honestly, going to work on them after work today. But guess what? They showed up. It's your Katie. So here we go. Everybody is constantly listening to your thoughts. They're constantly overhearing you. So, you know, as soon as you feel down and you think that everyone's against you, just stop and just watch for a second. You know, just calm yourself and just go, okay, you know, and even if you've got a bunch of static, like I did about my situation, now all of a sudden he's affirmated, and I was like, oh man, what are you worried about? Like, seriously, you know, so guys, I really urge you, do those little lists. Like, you know, I'm sure you can tell by my voice that this is like, and I didn't read these affirmations beforehand. So once I was like, oh my goodness, all the ones I would have done. So those are definitely really good affirmations to get your power back and to really shift the way that you see the world and the way that the world is reflecting back to you. Guys, you know what? You are good enough to have people love you. You are good enough to have people want what you want. You are good enough for people to want to be with you, love you unconditionally, and want to help you in your dreams. Each and every one of you guys are good enough to have everything that you absolutely want. So absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Katie, for being here. You are amazing. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.